Hey there, Maricopa. This is Maria Poor. I am one of the Cultural Affairs and Arts Committee members for the City of Maricopa. And here today we have one of our local artists creating one of the beautiful signal box portraits. I'm here today with artist Veronica Lichtenstein, who created this beautiful mural. Veronica, what does this represent for you?
This is, when I was thinking about Maricopa and the kind of box I would want to paint, I just started to think about what's one of the main activities that people in my neighborhood do. And me and my daughter go bike riding all the time, especially around Halloween and Christmas time, to look at all the displays and to enjoy the weather during that season. So I wanted to make a mural of a joyful bike ride, and that's what it is. It's a blissful joyride. This is part of our Super Bloom, and this is actually this street on Honeycutt, which was just like a month ago, was all blown up with these yellow trees and the green pieces out there. So it's just one of my favorites because it reminds me of the amount of fun times we had together going bike riding every night.
And this piece directly represents you and your family life and your family together. Describe that for us.
Absolutely. We love going on bike rides and going around the neighborhoods. We love getting picnics. We'll pick up Chipotle and then we'll just, find a spot under a tree and just hang out. And it's one of those things where she'll want to do it every night and she gets to talk about the end of her day and open up. And it's just a really fun event for us to do. And I think as I've been doing this piece and bike riders have come by, it's been fun to see families together see this and feel like they're being captured from Maricopa.
What does it mean to you to have this gorgeous public artwork up in your city?
Just the world. I'm so excited. I'm excited to have seeing the 9 other pieces that are going to be out there, just to see what everybody has and everybody's unique fingerprint and art, and seeing what they're going to come up with. I'm just excited to see more of this throughout the city because I think it just really brings out the community to life.
It does.
Thank you all for being here for the regular City Council meeting of February 20th, 2024. I now call this meeting to order, and I'm going to invite up Brother Naveen Sajurajan from Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for the Pledge of Allegiance, for an invocation and Pledge Allegiance from Councilmember Vitiello. Please rise if you're able.
Our kind and gracious, loving Father in heaven, we thy children bow our heads before thee in this beautiful evening as we gather here at the City Council. We're grateful, Father, for the members of the City Council and for all those that have gathered here to discuss the happenings in our city. We're grateful for the leaders and for all the blessings that we enjoy as residents of this beautiful city. We invite thy Spirit to be with us, and as we begin this council, that we may be guided in our discussions, that we may be inspired to talk on the right subjects, and that we may be inspired to make the right choices for the growth and development of our city. We pray a special blessing upon the leaders of this council, that they may be guided and inspired, and all those that are present here, that they may be blessed and guided in their inputs. We are once again so grateful, Father, for all the blessings that we enjoy in this city, and we're so grateful for the leadership that we have. We once again invite the Spirit to be with us, and we ask and pray for these things in the sacred name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Brother Sajurajan, and Councilmember Vitiello. Excuse me tonight, I do have a little bit of the tail end of a cold, so I hope that doesn't bother anybody, but I'll be doing my best. That takes us to the roll call.
Councilmember Gettle.
Present.
Councilmember Manfredi.
Here.
Councilmember Marsh.
Here.
Councilmember Vitiello. Here. Councilmember Wade.
Here.
Vice Mayor Learman.
Here.
Mayor Smith.
Here.
Madam Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Marsh wanted me to pass on a little note to you all that he would be here certainly if he could. He had a small accident and required a little bit of a surgery, and he's now in the rehab portion for 2 weeks of that surgery. So I'm happy to have him on the call and happy that he's able to participate. We do not have any proclamations, acknowledgments, awards, and presentations tonight, so that takes us to the report from the mayor. And who would like to speak tonight? Anyone? Yes, Councilmember Gettle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick report. Two very important events happened, well, many more than just two, but two I'd like to report on. On Saturday the 10th, we had a great opportunity to be out and support a lot of our young artists here in the city of Maricopa with the Art for the Heart. I know Vice Mayor Learman will be sharing a little bit more about that this evening, but it was great to be able to meet a lot of these young artists and be there to support their works, and of course the Heart Foundation as well in that. On Friday the 16th, I had the pleasure and privilege to attend the State Board of Transportation meeting. It was held in Douglas, Arizona, and I phoned in during the call to the public. We had a chance to address the board and request some of the considerations for the 347, which we all need to know that we work tirelessly for finding resolutions and solutions to the nightmare that we call the 347. My specific focus was to invite the board to consider ways to encumber some of the money that we have already raised for that project. It is in danger of being clawed back by the governor and her proposed budget, and we are fighting furiously to bring some of these projects quicker on that timetable, use those funds as they've been raised for, and keep the governor's fingers out of the money that we need for our projects. So the comments were well received, and we have a lot of great partners that we're continuing to work with. And so that's all of my report this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Gettle. Anyone else? Yes. Nope. Okay. Yes, Councilmember Vidiello.
Yeah, that was I zoomed in on that meeting. 347 is obviously near and dear to all of our hearts. Again, I've said this once, I say this probably every other week. The 347 is something that we worry about day in and day out. I talk to state senators about this. We talk to congressmen about it. The whole council as a whole does this as a team. I particularly have a personal interest in this 347, probably like maybe many of you in this room. I have a friend who's still in a vegetated state from the accident that happened 7 years ago. He will probably never come out of this coma. And, we do a softball tournament. We actually changed the date again because we keep getting rained out. Could you imagine getting rained out 2 times in a row in the state of Arizona, let alone Maricopa? But it's a fundraiser that we do to support his family. We raise anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000 for his family, and every dime goes directly to them. So when we talk about the 347, we talk about you guys getting in and out of this city safe. Because I worry about it, because I don't want to hear any more stories about it. Unfortunately, we do hear stories day in and day out of accidents. My suggestion to people is slow down. Be a little more patient. I want to get home. I want my granddaughter to get home. I want your children, your grandchildren, your sons and daughters to make sure that they get home day in and day out. So we have these meetings, and the mayor attends a ton of them. Vice mayor, actually, the whole board does here. We attend many of these meetings. I actually want to thank 3 of our supervisors, Pinell County supervisors, for actually calling in, and they are from different districts, except for one of them, and they actually joined in on the meeting, which was very important for them to put their 2 cents in, considering they're not in this district. They have to worry about their constituents. But it's important to them to know that the 347 is a huge project. It's one of the worst, top 5 in the state, if I remember correctly. And the Riggs Road overpass, again, clawing back this money is tragic to us. And I encourage everybody in this room, everybody online, if you have an opportunity to write your state senators, your congressmen about this, to please make sure that we can get this funding, because I want to make sure that you guys can attend meetings and not be held up on the 347, or God that you ever get into an accident. So understand that we worry about this day in and day out, and it's super important to every one of us up here. We do it as a team. And again, I just want to thank our 3 supervisors for coming out and supporting us, and the mayor, and Eric, and thank you for listening to me, because it is an important situation and we know it.
Thank you, Councilmember Vidiello. We next have Councilmember Manfredi.
All these buttons up here. The Transportation Board meeting that both Eric and Rich talked about just now, the next one happens on March 15th, 2024 at 9 a.m. You can sign up to speak. So they like hearing from us because they're our friends, right? We talk to them all the time. The State Transportation Board members, we talk to them, we email them, I'll meet with some of them tomorrow because I have a transportation meeting tomorrow from Maricopa Association of Government, right? And we get to know each other, and it's fun and exciting. But every once in a while, it's good to have people who they've never heard from talk to them. There's some of you here tonight that want to talk to us about something that's important to you. And that's important that you come here and you talk to us. So it's also important that you talk to the State Transportation Board and let them know what's important to you when it comes to transportation, which is the single most important thing facing the city of Maricopa. For everything that we do is transportation, right? We got to get in and out. So it's March 15, 2024. You can sign up online. Just go to aztransportationboard.gov. Just type it in Google, it'll pop up. And then you just type in there and you say, I want to talk. You show up at 9 o'clock. They say your name and you get to speak for 30 seconds or a minute. And just tell them why it's important to you. Because the State Route 347 is not going to get fixed if we sit around and hope it gets fixed. The State Route 347 is going to get fixed if we do the work that's needed to get it fixed. Well, that's all I had today.
Thank you.
Oh,
Councilman.
I did have more.
Okay.
Sorry. On the 8th of this month, we had a great opportunity to get together as a council, and we sat and we talked about the future of the city of Maricopa. Some of the issues that different groups that are here today to talk to us, we talked about them that day. We talked about financing. We talked about CIP. That's a capital improvement plan. We talked about everything you can think of, and it was a great opportunity for the council to get together and have those discussions. We'd love for more people to be at it when it happens again next year. So please show up and let us know what you want to see happen for the future of the city of Maricopa. It only happens once a year when we get together and do that because it leads up to the budget. And the budget discussions that we're going to have over the next 3 months before we approve a final budget in June is a lot of that discussion that we had. So we get to start planning all that stuff into that budget that takes effect July 1st. And if it's not in the budget, we can't spend it, if that makes sense, right? So it's not like, oh, it's emergency, we'll just make it up and start spending money sometime in September. That doesn't work. We have to budget every single thing that we do for the year, and we do that budget, and it gets approved in June, takes effect in July, and we go from there for the rest of the 2024, 2025. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Manfredi. Vice Mayor Learman.
Yeah, so Councilmember Gettle mentioned Art for the Heart. It was a fantastic event. There was live music, there was food, there were visual arts, and there was just a nice steady flow of people and just wonderful youth artists that were excited about the art that they created. Mayor and I purchased some art, and it was really just a fantastic day. I hope you can plan to attend next year. I also wanted to talk about the future planning meeting where the council and the city manager team, we all come together and we get to visualize Maricopa 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now. What do we want Maricopa to look like? It's a very exciting, fun day. I agree, if you could put it on your calendar and try and be there, it was just a really fantastic time. And then lastly, I just wanted to congratulate Chief Goodman and the police department. I've lived here since 2004, and I don't think we've ever been the second safest city in the state of Arizona, and I think that deserves a round of applause.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Lehrman. So tonight, I just do want to put emphasis on the meeting that we had with ADOT. I put a plea out for our Pinal County supervisors to call in. There are 5 of them. 3 of them responded. I was delighted with that, and they all had their own messages and their own emphasis that they placed on the 347. We have some council members that worked during the day, so they weren't able to attend, but we had 4 council members at that meeting who all spoke up and voiced out an opinion and the need. And then we had several residents, so we had a good number of people at a meeting that's all the way down in Douglas, Arizona. They were probably shocked to hear so much from the city of Maricopa, but I appreciate it, and every meeting has significant impact on this board and hopefully on the ADOT director that's there as well. My emphasis this year was really pointed at the 5-year plan. They're currently, like we are in our budget phase, they're currently in their budget phase for the 5-year plan. And my emphasis was on the fact that, as you all know, we're providing housing at an extreme rate. And with all of the bills that the state legislation has out there this year, again, wanting to take away any zoning rights regardless from cities, that will be horrific for the, the view of what our city looks like if developers can come in and just put up anything without any zoning or without any code from the city. I talked about that and how the fact that every house that we add adds another 2 cars to 347 potentially for those that drive out of the city. And just in January alone, we had 450 homes. That's a potential another 1,000 people that are driving on 347. I emphasized how we understand the by right laws within the city, within the state of Arizona, and by right property owners have a lot of authority and that we have to honor that authority. But they also have to realize with that authority that owners have comes the responsibility of the state to provide the transportation that's necessary to accommodate that type of housing growth. I also emphasized the 30 miles of state highway within the city of Maricopa that the city has taken over outside of that last project that's happening on John Wayne Parkway. The city has taken over 30 miles of state highway, which we are responsible for the maintenance of, which takes that off of their budget. And so they should be looking at that as a point of reference for budgeting funds. Also talked about the partnership with our legislation and the fact that, again, I told you before, if you had a list of here's all the people that have jurisdiction on 347, you know, ADOT, Gila River, Pinal County, Maricopa County, and then you have over here the list of people that have no jurisdiction on 347, City of Maricopa. We've done all of the work in partnering to receive $84 million worth of funds, and we're now challenged with the governor clawing that back, and we have to find ways for that not to happen. And then knowing that if any of those funds are clawed back, that sets us back in terms of being able to go out for matching funds from the federal government. So this is critical, and my ending point was it's critical that this project in its entirety is on the 5-year plan when you're finished with this 5-year plan this year. So we will see how that comes out, and we'll keep pushing for that to the greatest extent that we possibly can, and I know that we have our state legislators that are in our district working for us on that as well. So a good outcome. Love the fact that the supervisors supported us on that. Love the fact that our council showed up and our residents. We have several that are in the audience that showed up as well. So I appreciate you all. And that concludes our message from the mayor and council. That'll take us to the report from the city manager.
No report tonight, Mayor. Thanks.
All right, very good. Thank you. That takes us to the call to the public. This evening I have 5 speaker cards, and we will start with them. Let me read. I didn't bring my glasses. We'll see how good I do here. Here are the procedures to follow if you address the council. Council requests that you express your ideas in 3 minutes or less and refrain from any personal attacks or derogatory statements about any city employees, a fellow citizen, or anyone else, whether in the audience or not. The mayor will limit discussion whenever they deem such an action appropriate to the proper conduct of the meeting. At the conclusion of an open call to the public, individual members of the council may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the council, may ask staff to review a matter, or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the council shall not discuss or take legal action on any matters during an open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. So we'll first start with, and hopefully I get the name correct, Olivia Steen.
Hello, I'm Liv. I'm 16 years old, and I have done theater for only 5 years, but when I came to MCT, I was this little girl. I was about to enter middle school, and my parents were like, you should try this. This is going to help you become a part of the community. And I was resistant. I didn't think I would be very good at it. It was in front of an audience. It's scary. There's people who could judge you. And so I went and I fell in love, but not just with the theater, with the community, with the people who are there, with Miss Carrie, with Mr. Matt, with Mr. Andrew. Everybody there is so welcoming. I wasn't just an outsider who was starting theater. I was a person who was entering the community. I was being a part of everyone in this community and being viewed. I wasn't just there being a part of the ensemble and the hidden part of the ensemble, because the ensemble is an important part of the story, right? It's the part that builds the story, because without having the ensemble, it's just the main character. And the main character, sure, it's a big part, but as a community, we are ensemble. We're not just the main character. And so with this community, it's important that we all view ourselves as not just the main character, as the ensemble building our story forward. Not just how we are now, but building it forward, helping younger people become a part of the community instead of just being there. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. The next up is Carrie Vargas.
You'll have to forgive me. I am dealing with 3 fractured ribs right now, so there's some pain going on. Council, thank you so much for your exhibiting your time with us today. We have, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my iPad to open. We have some issues that we're like to bring forth to the council. Our memorandum of understanding, our MOU, was recently rescinded from us only after 7 months, 8 months of being ignored and not having the MOU followed. This was very disheartening to us. I founded Maricopa Community Theater 14 years ago with the city. 9 days before our first performance, the company that was housing us and setting us in motion closed its doors, and the people who came to our aid so that we could build a thriving performing arts theater community was the city of Maricopa. And we were very, very grateful to that. We have blossomed into 13 seasons of summer camps offering between 35 and 90 students each year. And that, if you do the math, is about 455 to 1,100 students just for our summer show. We have produced 36 main stage productions, 29 youth productions over the last 13 years, and that includes a year off because of a pandemic. The thing is that what you need to understand is that a thriving arts community is relevant and highly important to a community. Businesses want to invest in communities that are invested in education and the arts. That's what we do, both of them. We educate and we provide arts. We love our painting artists in this community, and we are grateful that they have had the opportunity to present their artwork throughout our community. But the group that gets forgotten all of the time is the performing arts. It costs a significant amount of money for us to be able to bring the arts to this community. It costs us $3,000 to $6,000 just in royalties to put on a show here in little tiny Maricopa. That is an abundance of money, and that doesn't include sets and props and costumes and advertising and all of the other things that go into what we do every year in and year out. So when our MOU was removed, you took away our rehearsal space. I can't put on shows if I don't have a place to rehearse. $31,000 in fees is astronomical and outrageous. No one can pay that. We don't ask for free space. We know that we need to pay an amount, but we're asking for you to consider an amount that is reasonable. We were not invited as a stakeholder to those meetings. We didn't know those meetings took place until we saw comments on social media about it. I beg you to really reconsider and have a dialogue that's open with our community. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Vargas. I now would like to ask Matt Ortega to come forward.
Good evening. To the council members of the City of Maricopa, think back to a time when you were growing, forming, your youth, your adolescence. What was your outlet? Me, I played with Hot Wheels in a dirt hole in my backyard. I rode my bike and I sung songs on my swing set. And then I discovered the stage in 1994 in Casa Grande, the Nutcracker. It's a rite of passage for many artists in this community, not just Casa Grande, but Maricopa as well. Anyway, I started at 10, beginning learning essentials and lessons for use later in life. Theater taught me how to be a critical thinker and to work in a team and to improvise. It taught me how to cooperate with others with strong visions. It taught me to organizational skills, strengthened my musical ability. It taught me self-confidence and positive self-esteem and positive self-image. It filled a hole for me that classroom learning has always presented as a challenge. I am ADHD challenged. I cannot sit in a classroom without going crazy. That's why I do well in the theater. I do well with sewing, because that's my passion, that's my love, that's how I learn, that's how I live. It kept me off the streets in my adolescence. That's why we are asking you to look and see what you are putting roadblocks over. As a community member, I find it quite curious about the timing of all these budget-cutting measures and how they all started around the time of this council's folly of the Wild West Music Fest. It was happening and now reported in Mr. Manfredi's own publication a loss of $251,448 due to low attendance. This was not the nonprofit's fault. Please see the article in Councilmember Manfredi's publication for these details. This has obviously become about making a buck at the expense of partnerships with the nonprofits. There's a lot of talk about arts tonight, but Carrie's right. You guys always forget about us. So what kind of art? Strictly visual? Apparently. I feel like this council has forgotten its roots, where we come from as a community, and has definitely lost sight of any positive direction for its performing arts or its citizens or youth of this community. Do better, or we will remember in November, and we have big mouths for projecting, and we don't forget.
Thank you. I'd like to bring up David Vargas, please.
In a statement on the City of Maricopa website, Rick Horst, city manager, is quoted as saying, "The arts are a core service integral to the health and vibrancy of our community. A city with well-developed cultural amenities offers its residents an enhanced quality of life and is also an important criterion for the success of a community. The accomplishment of the Maricopa Wild Horses Project is a tribute to our heritage, to our community, and to the talented artists and sponsors who made the project possible." I would also like to point out that in Mayor Smith's own address to the city, or State of the City address, she indicated that the city of Maricopa is healthy and thriving, and yet we are being called upon to foot the additional bill for some of the services. I am actually here to represent Maricopa Arts Council, not necessarily just Maricopa Community Theater, of both of which I am a board member of. We have grave concerns about some of these changes that we have been seeing. So first of all, MAC, Maricopa Arts Council, is hosting 3 events coming up here. The first one is this coming Friday. It is to feature the quilting of, I'm blanking on her name right now, sorry, I got too much going on. That's this Friday at the library, what is it? Crystal Dennis. And then next Friday, on the 1st of March, we will be having another event. It's also part of our 8th annual Inside the Creative Mind series, celebrating artists here in the city of Maricopa. On the 1st, it will be featuring Russell Frank, a prominent photographer here in the city. What? Pastels and ceramics, sorry. Need to do my homework. And then on the 9th of March, we will be hosting the 8th annual All Maricopa Poetry Slam, which we will be hosting at the Global Water Facility through the gracious donation of funding to Maricopa Arts Council to host that event specifically. The reason we're having to host that there versus some of the other facilities that we have available to us here in the city is because of some of these rising costs that we have to face. MAC operates on a shoestring budget that is facing the potential of being slashed as we come up into the future because the Arizona Commission for the Arts has informed everyone that they are going to be reducing the funding that they have available through their grant programs, which we have relied on exclusively, or not exclusively, but prominently in all of the funding that we have. We have a budget of less than $10,000, which is going to be reduced dramatically once that takes place. And in looking at the costs of similar facilities elsewhere, it is significantly less than we would have to pay here in the city of Maricopa. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vargas. And lastly, Laura Olivier.
My thanks to Maricopa City Council for hearing my comments today. I'd like to ask for a 1-minute time extension, please. My comments come in about 4 minutes.
I think if you share that with some of those standing with you, that would be acceptable, but we pretty much have to hold to the 3 minutes. Otherwise, we'd have to give it to everybody.
Talk really fast. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor
Let me
Smith.
start your time over. There you go.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Laura Olivieri, co-director and violist for Maricopa Music Circle Chamber Orchestra. I'm also the secretary for the Cultural Affairs and Arts Advisory Committee for the city since 2023. I'm a Poetry Slam finalist, a children's book author, and I've been a resident of Maricopa since 1998, long before any of this was here. MMC was founded in 2009, and I joined in 2012. Groups like MCT, DSPA Dance, and Maricopa Chorus were founded in a similar time frame, and between us, for nearly 14 years, we've provided over 100 performances to enrich our city. Nonprofit performing arts groups face many challenges, but the single biggest hurdle that each of us face is space to rehearse and perform our material. MMC spends significant funds on various costs, but hall rental is nearly 50% of our expenditure, and that only includes our dress rehearsal and performance. Last year, MMC made a whopping $12 more than it spent on these costs, and many times it's hard to make ends meet. For any performing art, rehearsals take most of the time and energy. For 12 seasons, the Zaymons generously hosted MMC in their home, and I've been hosting in my 14-square-foot home since then. I literally have to stack my furniture in my living room to accommodate the 9 instruments that we have this season. And since we perform with Maricopa Chorus, we also have to rehearse with them. This is a picture of 22 people stuffed into my tiny living room to rehearse for our winter performance. Because MCT has sets and other requirements, they cannot rehearse in someone's living room, and for other performers like us, we really shouldn't either. Performing arts groups in neighboring cities like Chandler Symphony get to use their Performing Arts Center completely for free for whatever arrangement they have with their local officials. Low-cost MOUs between the city and nonprofit performing arts groups are vital, and rate reductions for nonprofits are not a viable substitute. They do not equal affordable or low cost for groups that have minimal incomes and rigorous rehearsal schedules. In June 2013, Mayor Christian Price gave the first mayoral proclamation in support of the arts in Maricopa. In 2022, Mayor Nancy Smith also followed that to encourage the arts in Maricopa. But within a year of that proclamation, existing MOUs were canceled, leaving MCT high and dry and other nonprofits facing a terrible precedent. It is time for the city to put its money where its proclamations are. Performing arts are not a budget item to be cut in favor of something else. They are a necessary and vital part of our city's growth. All performing arts groups need space, and I will gladly stack my furniture again tomorrow in lieu of paying an exorbitant price. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
It's the petition.
Oh, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much, Carrie. So those are the speaker cards I have from the Maricopa Community Theater. I definitely want to tell you that I appreciate you being here. I would love to address so much that was said tonight because it's such a bigger picture than what you were able to share tonight, maybe because the information is not there for you. I'd like to make sure that we offer that information. But I do want you to know and recognize that the city does have a passion for the arts. I have a passion for the arts. The city has supported many different art elements within this brand new city, as to the extent financially that we can. Art does bring a value. It brings education. It brings human behavior aspects that are good for us. It has so many good qualities that it would be a major failure if we didn't address arts in the city of Maricopa. As you know, you may not know, I had season tickets for the Maricopa Community Theater, so I love and support the Maricopa Community Theater. There are things that have been done, as you know, painting of the horses, painting of the signal boxes. There was a 3-day event that was a partnership with the city for all art venues, genres, including performing arts, a couple of years ago, and the city sponsored that. We currently have, if you're not aware, we currently have an art grant policy that we're creating out of the bed tax that will benefit all of the art groups, which is huge and significant. And as you know, we're turning part of the Maricopa Police Station into an art theater, which will bring about opportunities there. And just so you know, and I don't want you to leave here thinking that council doesn't care. Vice Mayor Lehrman and myself started Maricopa Friends of the Arts with some of the folks that are out in the audience as well. And so without starting that, one year they raised $20,000 and bought a piano for the Performing Arts Center. So we care about arts. There's so much more to share. The 5 public meetings that were held last year were not specifically for the arts, but it was for all nonprofits. And through those 5 public meetings, we hashed out what could we do, what can we not do. And believe it or not, there are nonprofits that were paying the full rental fee for all of our facilities. And when they received the 35% discount that came out of that new policy, they were thankful. They sent me emails. There were some of the posts on some of your posts that talked about the fact that they were paying the full price, and they were thankful that they got the 35% discount. So in finding a way to make it fair for all, the policy came out of that, out of the 5 meetings. Now, if you don't follow the media, don't follow the city agendas, maybe you missed those 5 meetings, I would be happy if all those that are here to support the Maricopa Community Theater would stand up. I would appreciate that because I want to recognize you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. If it would help and be beneficial, I would like to open up a dialogue with you as a group. And Carrie, if you want to be the leader or want to appoint somebody, we can set that up so that we can have this dialogue and help bring you along in understanding how this policy was created. I'd be happy to do that with the city manager's office. And a couple council members who might want to attend as well. But it's important that you have the information, but it's also important to know that the direction that was given when the policy was finalized was that this is not the end of the trail. The majority of council wants these rooms to be used. And so at the end of a year of gathering data and finding out these rooms aren't used because they're too expensive, then we want to modify that. We want to look at that. But we need data to make that recommendation. And this is for all nonprofits, not just arts. There are groups out there that need the room as well. So, dominating a space may not be an option because there are so many nonprofits. But anyway, that's just a little bit of what I can share because it is called to the public, but I'd be happy to organize a meeting and happy to organize that through Carrie. Yes, Dennis.
Madam Mayor, I think you responded to the criticism that was made.
Yes, thank you.
I think if you want to direct it to be added to a later agenda or just set up a meeting, you can give direction now.
Yep, very good.
And
yes.
we can move on.
That's what I would like to do. Thanks you very much. Appreciate that. So I appreciate you all being here. Do I have anyone else from the call of the public that would like to speak on another topic? Yes, please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Peg Chapados. Currently, I am the chair of the Arts and Cultural Affairs Advisory Committee for the City of Maricopa. I also currently serve as the secretary for the Maricopa Friends of the Arts. We stand in support of the comments that you heard tonight, and our committee is available. We have a call to the public. We meet the 3rd Mondays of every month. Our next meeting is this coming Monday, the 26th at 6 p.m. here at City Hall, and we would invite anyone that wants to come, participate in our dialogue, and hear the things that we're discussing because it's dead on for arts of all types in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come forward on a subject? All right, seeing none, I'll close the call to the public. Okay, come forward. Thank you.
Hello. I'm a snowbird here in Maricopa.
Please state your name.
And I live in Seattle, and also I live here in Maricopa.
Please state your name.
Craig Jackson.
Thank you.
Pastor Craig Jackson.
Thank you.
I'm a pastor there. Recently, y'all up, whoever did it, Porter Road over there between Smith Ankeny and Honeycutt, and they took that from one lane both ways to now it's 2 lanes both ways. And right there at Homestead Drive, when you come out there, there's been a number of accidents already, maybe 5 of them. And so I come out of there all the time leaving because I live in the Homestead. And there needs to be a light there because what happened was when you took and turned it from 1 lane both ways to 2 lanes, now people are buzzing. And you can't gauge how you can get out there and make a left and go towards Walmart to make a right and go towards the fire station. So I've lived here for 10 years. I've never seen any accidents there, and now I've seen about 4 or 5 of them. And so that's something that, and I've been over to the police station a couple times, told them about it. They told me to come to a city council meeting and tell you guys about it. But there needs to be a light there because they've had 5 already, and there's been aid cards and all kind of people there. I don't know how bad the people got hurt. But when you turn out there, you can't really judge how fast those cars are coming. So that's why I'm here.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anyone else like to approach the podium and speak to City Council? All right, seeing none, I will close the call to the public. That'll take us to consent agenda item 71.74. Council, do you have any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, I'll take a motion. So moved by Vice Mayor Lehrman. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Vitiello. Any opportunity for a comment, question? All right, given that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. That'll take us to regular session item, 8.1. And this is a public hearing regarding the development impact fees. I do have 2 speaker cards, and so I will open the public hearing at this point and invite up James Ashley.
Thank you very much, Mayor, Council. For the record, my name is James Ashley, here on behalf of the Home Builders Association of Central Arizona. Our members represent the single-family residential construction industry. They employ tens of thousands of workers throughout the state and invest a significant amount on an annual basis here in Pinal County. On behalf of our members, we continue to raise concerns about the current draft of the city's impact fee proposal. Throughout ARS 9463.05, the legislature recognizes the reasonable limits on the discretion of local governments in setting impact fees and the importance of the required nexus and proportionality of those fees. When our members are being asked to pay for new growth, there should be a direct benefit to that new growth. Just a couple of examples I'd like to bring up that were brought up previously. These are just a couple of examples, such as the Edwards Avenue underpass. It's entirely surrounded by existing industrial development and the railroad tracks, and not anywhere in the vicinity of future single-family residential development or a thoroughfare of any sort that would be utilized. The east-west corridor, at a price tag of $43 million, much of it would be built as a condition of development. And it also appears to directly benefit Harrah's Auction Hotel and Casinos since it aligns directly with their main entrance. We're also requesting clarification, and we had requested this previously, regarding the citywide signal interconnect, which is assigned at 100%. Some of the examples of what we really view as some really thoughtful analysis by the city included SR 238 and the Green Road overpass, and those improvements are listed at 52% and 50% respectively. And we also supported the 347 inclusion in the impact fee proposal as well, and that's listed at 100% for that section and consider that appropriate as well. We view many of the other projects as eligible for a similar development impact fee percentage eligibility analysis. There was a slide that was posted on the agenda packet for this evening's meeting that compared Maricopa to other cities, and I appreciated that that slide showed the comparison of all the categories for all of the cities. However, since those other cities include the need for a water and wastewater fee, if you were to compare Maricopa to the actual fees that builders in Maricopa would have to pay compared to other cities, you see that Maricopa would be the 4th highest compared to every municipality in Maricopa County or Pinal County, and the city is close to being tied for 2nd. Examples of additional cities currently going through the impact fee update process that were not listed on that slide in the agenda packet include Surprise, Florence, and Glendale, which are also lower than Maricopa with a direct comparison, not including the water and wastewater fees. However, comparisons aside, I know that each community, you have your own unique needs and your own unique responsibilities, and we respect that. And our builders, they know they're buyers in every community. The city of Maricopa, it's a very attractive community and it's a very affordable community. And that's what draws many residents to the dream of home ownership here in Maricopa. The size of the impact fee increase of 56% in North Maricopa and 65% in South Maricopa, that will result in higher new home prices that'll price out a lot of buyers from being able to qualify. Many builders, they offer their own very generous incentives to help buyers qualify, but substantial increases make that more difficult. This will also encourage more residents to rent rather than to make the decision to purchase and buy a home, and since there's no longer a rental tax, that'll also have another unintended consequence for the city. Throughout this process, our association and our members have had an experience with the city. It can be described as an outlier and different compared to the other cities that are going through the process. From the initial stakeholder meetings and the unanswered issues that resulted, to specific questions and emails and requests for meetings with staff and elected officials that were not granted. Other cities have started the stakeholder feedback process earlier and granted meetings when there were significant concerns. Unfortunately, that's not been the case with Maricopa. We know that the process with the city's consultant, LRB, that process continues. And there's time for the proposal to be amended to ensure that the city can meet its very important needs directly related to growth, and one that doesn't discourage our members from continuing to build in Maricopa, instead pushing them to neighboring communities. So I want to thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. That'll take us to Angela Carmichael.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Thank you so much for your service to this community. We really, as home builders, much as what James had said, I support, obviously, I'm with D.R. Horton, and we have several communities around Maricopa. And I want to talk about the impact fees. Now, I was here last month, and I won't repeat what I had shared last month, but there's 2 items that I'd like the council to consider and the staff. Staff has been fantastic to work with. Maricopa has always been a pro-growth and reasonable municipality to work with, and we look forward to continuing to have those discussions. So one item is existing projects that have currently been in planning. And I use the example of Elena Trails, which is a project we had been working on for 2 years. When we started the journey, we did not know about these impact fees. And as James had said, we have asked for additional time to work with staff to be able to have a voice in the process. And we want to continue that effort. And we respectfully request that everyone has an opportunity to share their concerns. And I don't know that they've been fully addressed, but in the process, certainly, of working with staff on that. And the contrast between other municipalities and Maricopa, from my experience, is that the process has been a longer process. This process has been accelerated from what we typically see in other municipalities. And I'll use Surprise as an example. They had the same land use assumptions and infrastructure improvement plans that were being approved. And there was a lot of stakeholder meetings, pre-stakeholder meetings, for us to have a voice in the process. And we want to have the city continue to look at projects that have been in the planning stages that have made certain assumptions on what the impact fees would be, and having some concession for that. Secondly, thinking about the broader picture of Maricopa and how we can deliver affordable homes so that our children can buy a home and move out of the house. I'm a parent, and I look forward to that happening. One of them has flown the coop. The other one, he's afraid, and he's afraid of that monthly payment of what it takes to purchase a home. And so as we, as home builders, try to come up with solutions on developing beautiful communities, we understand completely that development needs to support development. Our project at Elena Trails is building our half-street improvements, and we don't want to have to pay for others' half-street improvements that are not contiguous and not to the benefit and impact to our residents in our community. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. That is all the speaker cards that I have. This is a public hearing. Would anyone else like to approach the podium on this subject? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Council, do you have any questions, comments, concerns? Yes, Councilmember Wade.
I bring this up only because I think it's relevant to what we normally are accepted when we're working with other agencies and when we have projects that are underway. We are considered, our staff is considered one of the most amiable and workable group that many of the developers have experience with. And so there was a direct contradiction, I think, between the two of you, the way that you expressed the concerns about the way the staff was approaching the project versus the way staff was approaching the project from the others. So I just felt compelled to support our staff because they do a great job. And I appreciate your perspective as well, you know, that you're based on what you've experienced. But I think that I would be remiss if I didn't stand forward and say, particularly as a former member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, working with the staff in that capacity as well, we try to do a very good job, and most of the time it's accepted that we do.
Thank you, Councilmember Wade. Any additional comments, questions, concerns on this topic? Yes, Councilmember Gettle.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I would be curious to learn if our process in this land use development and impact fees, if it is accelerated compared to other localities around us. Maybe that's something we can direct staff to find some answers for us on timelines and just to show us what's really happened over this last year and a half that we've looked at this.
So, Jennifer, you may not have been prepared for that specific question. Would you like to come back with a response to the council at a later time?
Yeah, we'll put some stuff together and we'll get it over to you. Yeah, thank you.
That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Gettle. Anyone else? Comments, questions, concerns? All right, that means that's the end of our agenda tonight. We thank you all for being here, and I close this session.
Leave us a comment below and we'll be sure to get back to you.